Let me ask this question, that I'm failing to understand why some of the Luo politicians are so much dumb that they can't see what is happening. I'm failing to understand why these politicians are very dumb. They're not seeing what is happening. Literally, they're not even seeing what is going on. Because if the people, the Kalenjins, if the Nandis themselves have declared down, they're even singing the song of one time. They've composed their own song of one time.
Wandam gityo, wandamo, wandam gityo, wandamo, wandam gityo, wandam gityo, wandamo, wandam gityo, wandamo, wandam gityo, enandilis, wandam gityo, wandam gityo, wandam gityo, wandam gityo, enandilis, wandam. Euda to wandam enandilis, wandam gityo, wandam gityo, enandilis, wandam gityo.
But now here you are trying to defend the same government whose Kalenjin people have really declared that they don't want to support him. Today in the morning, not even today in the morning, I think it was yesterday night, Peter Kaluma was on TV 47 together with Eric Okongo, that is the senator from Nyamira County, and also Tony Gachoka, Gachoka, yeah. Tony Gachoka. I think Tony Gachoka is a veteran, was once a journalist, if I'm not wrong. These guys are trying to educate Peter Kaluma. Because recently, you know, since ODM joined the UDA government, since this issue of the broad-based government was formed, ODM has really lost direction. There is nobody that wants to associate himself with the ODM, and those who are in ODM are so dumb that they can't even open their eyes. And normally ask this question, and I'll keep on asking this question every day until we come to that point that we'll come to know that with all these people's eyes will come to open. That suppose Raila Odinga dies today. Suppose Raila Odinga dies today. These people of ODM, will they not survive? Will they now stop politics because now the leaders died? Or they will continue with it? That is the question. Those are the kind of questions that these guys need to ask themselves. That suppose Raila Odinga dies right now, will we stop doing politics, or we will continue with the politics up to the end?
Let me first of all want to clarify to Mheshimiwa Kaluma here that Uhuru Kenyatta, I had the name Uhuru Kenyatta mentioned. Tony Gachoka has never voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. Since 1997, I voted for ODM. I voted for Honorable, my brother, Raila Amolo Odinga. After the foundation of ODM, the late Charles Jonjo and Tony Gachoka were the only people who stood with Baba. I find it very sad that every time there is a discussion that has to do with the national ethos, about the Bill of Rights, people want to talk about ethnicity. As far as I'm concerned, I will stand and die on my sword as a Kenyan who has always stood for this nation. I want to say without any fear of contradiction that, and I want to be very clear on this studio and this television, that my message is not to my right, it's to Baba. I'm telling Baba, who is my friend, this is not right. I'm telling Baba, who is my brother, that this must stop. Because he himself understands that we fought for this constitution. I never saw William Ruto at Bomas of Kenya. I never saw him on no reform, no election, but Baba was there. The late Jaramogi Oginga was there. ODM is born of the blood of the movement of this nation. The Orange Democratic Movement came from the struggle towards a new constitutional order. Among and most critical in that constitutional order was the Bill of Rights. I remember Yashpa Guy walking in with James Orengo and Raila Odinga at Bomas of Kenya together with me and Apollo Jonjo, where we insisted that the Bill of Rights must be ingrained in the constitution of the country. The Bill of Rights is an integral part of Kenya's democratic state and is a framework for socio-economic and cultural policies. I want to also say this, and I want to say this to the young people. The young people and those people who stood out in order to protest against this government did not do so because they had nothing else to do. What happened was it started incrementally. Why? Because after elections, end a disputed electoral process, the government of Kenya Kwanza was sworn in as a minority government, simply because they didn't have the numbers in parliament. In order to defeat Azimio la Umoja, who had won the majority of MPs and senators, they started buying people from the opposition in order that they could tilt the scales against the will of the people exercised in a democratic election. Since that time, William Ruto has gathered pieces of silver and an appetite to buy everybody in the opposition that he can in order to defeat the electoral processes that were elected to have, one, a government and an opposition. And the reason this constitution creates a multi-party democracy is because the opposition is meant to oppose the government of the day in order that people get a better government. My problem with the ODM decision of broad-based government is not about the policies or the economics. It's because there is no policeman, there is no watchdog in Parliament or in the Senate that can be able to hold to account the government for the people. And that is a constitutional nightmare, because once the people have done an election after 5 years, they have nothing else other than a recall of MPs or waiting for the next general election. So I want to say to the young people of this nation who are protesting against the broad-based government that you are right under the law, you are right under the Bill of Rights. But as William Shakespeare says, you know, a coward just dies once. So if death must be the price, it's not going to be the first time. Tom Mboya, yes. Degama Pinto, Awins Kode, there have been so many gallant sons of this nation, Robert Ouko, and many who have shed blood, in order that this country becomes accountable to the rule of law and better governance, the killing of corruption and so forth. So let there be a Rex Masai. So yes, let there be another person from another place. But let this not descend, that all of a sudden there is one part of Mount Kenya against the nation, because young people are rising up. Let us say, first of all, that any killing of any young person, any abduction of any young person is immoral, it is wrong, it is unlawful, it's unconstitutional. If we begin to agree that there are certain basic rights and wrongs, that there are certain things which we must uphold, the dignity of how we live with each other, that dignity is what is going to allow us to be able to aspire to take this country further. So I want to end by saying, you know, Frank Fanon said this about generations, that every generation must fulfill its promise. And I'm happy to hear senior lawyer Wamugeni and Kaluma went to Nairobi University. I was in Europe and went so on. But we have had our time. Made mistakes or not, we had our time to fulfill our aspirations and live our dreams. We cannot be the people who sit on our children's future. We cannot be the people that kill their hopes, right or wrong. Let them dream, but let them be at peace, and let them not fear their government, let them not fear their president, let them not fear that, you know, in fact, I remember when the ICC came, 4 people were charged, a sitting president, Uhuru Kenyatta, a police commissioner, Muhammad Ali, a head of civil service, Mudaura, and William Ruto were taken to the ICC by a letter written by the Orange Democratic Party, in part my brother Anyang' Nyong'o, raising the questions about the killings that happened in Naivasha and parts of the Rift Valley following the disputed 2007. So ODM has a history of raising in the international order the question of human rights. In fact, it was because of the letter of ODM that the ICC proceedings went ahead without objection from Mwai Kibaki. And in fact, a sitting president had to resign from office or retire from office for the period of the trial in order to be held to account. So I'm telling this president, I'm telling this commissioner of police, I'm telling this head of the civil service, kuna njia uko Hague, and you are not going to go that way. And I'm telling Kaluma, whether he wishes it or he does not, there will be an end to the regime of William Ruto. But the question will not end because of me and you, but the law will never die. This constitution and the rights of those who died will never die. I pray that shooting our children is no solution to the ODM coalition with William Ruto.
The Bal, we were in university with Kaluma. We did demonstrations.
No, you were ahead of me.
We did I was ahead of him, but yes, we were in university at the same time. We did demonstrations. I never saw President Moi's regime shoot and kill any student, and they can bear me witness. We were there with Kabando, Munya, Moses Kuria, Mungatana, and the likes. We stormed the city many times. but the government of the day never shot and killed any university students at that time. So to listen to my colleague, a lawyer of repute and high standing, say that the country is on the right trajectory when we are killing young people, 60 of them in 2 months, is a tragedy for the nation. Depal. I joined this party ODM because I identified with the ideals of the party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, a man we respect, a man who has fought and advocated for good governance for many years. And we hold him in very high respect. But I cannot come to this studio, and I want this to be on record. I want YouTube to record that I don't agree with the way the government is behaving in responding to demonstrations. Dibal, you cannot be in a country where a man who has carried the Bible and so on to defend the Constitution and the laws of this country gives an edict to the police telling them, if you find demonstrators, shoot them in the leg first. Take them to the hospital, then on their way, they can go to court of law. I don't think Honorable Kaluma here, who has a wife and children, would like to see his or her child being shot merely because that child stepped out to register a disagreement with the government of the day by picketing, which is allowed by this constitution. I've seen families shed tears. Last week on Friday, we buried a young man from Ekiribugeta Institute who was, the students came out protesting on the poor state of the road between Tombe and Ekiribugeta Institute. And because CS Interior, Murkomen, had given an undertaking that the government will no longer cooperate with investigative agencies, they just shot that young man dead. And the parents who had a lot of hope on that child are mourned and have buried that son, and there is no any accountability. As we speak, I spoke today in the Senate. When I left Nyamira today, I went straight to the Senate to speak on a statement that was being raised in the Senate on these extrajudicial killings. So I mean, we cannot join a government.
Raila did not introduce you to politics. Raila did not tell you to go and do political science. Did he? He didn't. So why clinch on Raila Odinga's quote every now and then that Raila Kisema 20 left, 20 left, Kisema 20 right, 20 right? You know very well that what Raila Odinga is saying is so. You know very well that ati Raila baba kizungumza tunafanya. If guys, these Luo politicians, they really need to stop being so dumb. Peter Kaluma, can you just open your eyes and know that you're still, you know, when you try to compare your age and Raila Odinga's age, Raila is 80, I think Raila is 81 right now. So imagine you are still depending kwa mtu mwenye kona 81 years. Well, okay, which empire have you built? Let me ask that question. Those who depend on Raila Odinga, ni empire gani umebuild? You know, we have to accept that Raila Odinga sasa hivi akiamua kusema kwamba ameacha siasa. That guy has really built a lot. In terms of wealth, amejenga. In terms of his name, alijenga. Sasa anajaribu kujua, sasa anajaribu kubomoa kile ambacho alijenga. Politically, Raila built a lot in terms of politics. So right now, wakati ambapo uzee imeingia na tamaa imeingia mingi, is trying now to destroy that which he built. And huyo ndio mtu ambaye watu kama kina Peter Kaluma wanafuata. I think it is Peter Kaluma. Who else? We have Peter Kaluma, we have Eddie Okech, we have a lot of people. We have a lot of people are following Raila Odinga. Wengine hawajaingia kwa siasa na wanasema kwamba Raila Odinga ni baba yao. Seriously. I think it's high time these guys style up and know that whatever they're doing, karma will catch up with them. Karma will, And you know, such kind of things, ndio mtu kama William Ruto anajaribu anaangalia na anasema, okay, let me show you. Let me give you what you want. After all, guys, that's just my thought, and that is all I have for now. Let me also know what you think in the comment section, but don't forget to drop me a comment and tell me what you think and where exactly you're watching this video from. Until we meet again, I have been your host, Bonfasino. Bingo.